You know, when we think about engineering, what usually comes to mind? It's all about cold equations, right? Hard data. But what if every blueprint had a soul? What if building the world around us was actually a profound human mission? A place where science and, yeah, even spiritual beliefs were meant to work hand in hand.
I mean, just look around. Incredible structures are popping up everywhere all the time. But behind that paper blueprint, the one with all the measurements and materials, there's another one you can't see. And that's the ethical blueprint. It's like this invisible architecture of integrity that's supposed to hold the whole thing together.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll kick things off with the spiritual foundation, then get into designing with integrity and executing with excellence. After that, we'll cover safety and stewardship, and we'll wrap up with something pretty amazing, a 10-year promise.
All right, let's dive right in at the very beginning. I'm talking before a single shovel even touches the dirt. In this ethical framework, everything starts with faith and purpose. So building, it's not just a job, it's actually seen as an act of worship.
And that brings us to this really interesting Arabic concept called bina. Now, on the surface, yeah, it just means building, but it goes so much deeper than just physical structures. It's all about creating strength, cohesion. Get this, the same exact term is used for marriage. It signifies the building of a strong partnership. How cool is that?
And this idea, it's absolutely central. In fact, the Quran itself uses this metaphor of a solid structure to describe the whole community of believers. So you see, it's not just some pretty poetry. It's a core concept that directly links a building's physical integrity with social and even spiritual strength.
So at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to build something that looks impressive. It's about serving fundamental human needs. We're talking about ensuring privacy and dignity, making life a little easier, avoiding wastefulness, and really just promoting happiness and well-being for the entire community.
Okay, so we've got the foundation, the why. Now let's move into the design phase. This is the crucial part where all those high-level ethical principles stop being just abstract ideas and get translated into a concrete, accountable plan.
And this is where the essential prep work happens. Getting all the details right, soil studies, permits, calculations. This isn't just boring bureaucracy. Seriously, being negligent at this stage, it's like planting the seeds for a disaster down the road. Diligence, right here, right now, is everything. And this brings us to another really critical term, ghush. It basically means fraud, deception, or concealment. So in the world of design, hiding a flaw or, fudging a calculation, that's not just a simple mistake. It's seen as a profound betrayal of trust, a serious ethical breach that can undermine the entire project from the get-go.
So what does this mean for the engineer? Well, their role gets totally elevated. They're not just some technician crunching numbers. They're basically a modern-day muhtasib. This was a historical figure who acted as an ethical inspector, making sure things were fair in the marketplace. The engineer literally becomes a guardian of quality, of fairness, and of the public good.
All right, so the design is locked in and approved. Let's head over to the construction site. This is where the rubber meets the road, where that blueprint, both the one on paper and the ethical one, faces its ultimate real-world test. And let's talk about the foundation. It is the absolute backbone of everything that comes next. An error made here, it's pretty much irreversible. This is a moment of just immense responsibility. As you can see, mistakes here, they find no excuse in the eyes of the law, and no forgiveness in principle. The stakes are that high. Now, this idea of stewardship doesn't stop with the foundation. It extends to all the materials on site. In Islamic ethics, wastefulness, the term is israf, is straight up forbidden. And it's not just seen as a financial loss, like, oops, we wasted some money. No, it's viewed as an ethical failure that has a very real environmental cost.
And this focus on stewardship, on not being wasteful, it naturally leads us to the wider impact of any project. We're talking about the sacred duty to protect lives, not just the workers on site, but the public too, and of course, to safeguard the environment we all share.
So think about it. The next time you see one of those safety first signs on a construction site, it's so much more than just a slogan. It connects directly to one of the highest objectives in Islamic law, which is hifz al-nafs, the preservation of human life. And that completely reframes things, right? It turns safety from just another box to check for the regulators into a deep moral and religious obligation.
And what's fascinating here is how clearly the Sharia perspective and modern legal codes align. On one hand, you have the Quran with this high-level command, do not commit mischief on the earth. And on the other, you have modern law, which translates that into very specific fines for things like noise or dust pollution. But at their core, they're both saying the exact same thing, protect the environment.
Okay, let's fast forward. The building is finished. It looks great. The keys are handed over to the owner. The job's done, right? Well, not even close. We've now arrived at what is maybe the most powerful part of this ethical blueprint, a promise that lasts for a full decade.
10 years. Just let that sink in for a second. Think about it. What kind of professional responsibility lasts for a full decade after the job is supposedly finished and paid for? Well, this is what's known as decennial liability. And it means that for any major structural defects, we're talking the big stuff that threatens the building's integrity, both the engineer and the contractor are held liable for a full 10 years. It's an incredibly powerful guarantee, and it's rooted in civil law, but aligns perfectly with core Sharia principles of justice.
And get this, there's no passing the buck, no finger pointing. The liability is what's called joint and several, which is a legal way of saying they are both equally and completely accountable. The engineer can't blame the contractor can't blame the engineer. They are literally chained together in this promise.
So, when you put it all together, you see that the ethical blueprint isn't just one single thing. It's really a bridge that connects Islamic Sharia, civil law, and the day-to-day practice of engineering. It creates this amazing, unified framework of responsibility that covers a project from the moment it's just an idea all the way to its lasting legacy years down the line.
And all of this brings us to a final question, one for you to think about. We've just walked through this incredible ethical blueprint for engineering, one that's built on stewardship and serious long-term accountability. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is the ethical blueprint for your profession?